Let's get into like the first 10 videos that you would make if you're a realtor that's looking to start a YouTube channel right now. What are the 10 videos that will get the most bang for their buck, the impact?
I only had like 14 subscribers and I started getting business from
You got deals from
Yeah,
14
and so-
subscribers. The number one fear that people list most oftentimes is public speaking. That's their biggest fear. When you're able to turn off that switch of like caring what people think, positive or negative, then you'll just do what you know you need to do and you'll become limitless at that point. In the small amount of dollars that I've put into YouTube marketing, I've got an insane amount of impressions for a low dollar amount.
Yep.
And especially you could pick like what you want the outcome to be, whether it's gaining subscribers, getting people to submit their information, all these different things. How would you recommend people promote videos on YouTube and the strategy behind that?
In today's day and age, video marketing is crucial in building your brand, building trust with potential clients. And if you're utilizing YouTube and video marketing, it has the potential to be a lead gen source for you over the long term. We have a great podcast episode today. I have on Jeff Bernheisel, who is currently working for a title company, but has experience in video marketing as a lender, as a real estate agent, in title, and he has actually done the work on YouTube and is currently one of the go-to video marketing resources throughout the Clark County community. We talked through his background and how he got into video marketing, his experience personally on YouTube, as well as get into the strategies that real estate agents, mortgage lenders, insurance brokers can use on YouTube to help grow their business. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Connor Webb. I'm a mortgage broker here in the Clark County, Washington area, based out of Ridgefield, Washington. And you can find my YouTube videos both on this real estate and mortgage YouTube channel, as well as on my sports media brand, The Couch GM. And if you'd like to get in touch either to talk about video marketing, or if you yourself are thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing in the Pacific Northwest, make sure to reach out to myself, Connor Webb. My contact information will be in the description of this video. And with that, let's get into the podcast.
Jeff, thanks for coming on the podcast. Yeah, let's get into your background. We were just talking about how you in the dorm room had, servers set up for video games and all that. So you've obviously been into tech for quite a while.
Yeah, back in high school, actually it was before high school, I think. My parents were like, for Christmas one year, I get this big old package and I open it up and you know what a Commodore 64 is?
Commodore 64.
Might be a little before your time.
Yeah.
So
I know an N64.
Okay, like 10 years before that. So I open this thing up and it's, it's a key. It looks like a key. I thought it was a typewriter. Like I open this box up and I'm like, I'm 12 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, sweet, a typewriter. And my stepdad's like, no, that's a computer. It's called a Commodore 64. And basically looks like a keyboard like we have now, but it's about yay thick. And you can plug these cartridges in it. And the cartridges were games. But you could do programming, basic programming stuff. So since I was like 10 or 11 or whatever age I was, I got into that. And then that got me into gaming. And then college, I built a server in my dorm, or it was my dorm and then my apartment. And just started gaming with my buddies. And growing up, I've just always been into tech. And so kind of once I got into, I was actually a lender. I think you knew that. But what got me into what I'm doing today is when I was a lender, similar to what you do, I was like, how do I get in front of realtors to earn their trust and earn their business and help with their marketing and that kind of stuff? I'm like, I've always been into tech stuff. And so you remember MySpace, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now we're back at this stage. So when I was doing the loan officer thing, I started with email marketing. Blogging was kind of a big deal. And then MySpace came out. And I was like, man, there's something to this. Like, you just have to connect with people and chat with them. You can share pictures and it's basically like, Facebook's way cooler. But I started doing that. And then I started teaching classes to realtors on how to connect with people on MySpace, how to do email marketing, how to blog for SEO. And it just led me down this path of all of this marketing stuff and helping realtors get more business. And then the first big market crash happened. And at the time, I right before the big crash, actually, I got a little greedy and I became a wholesale lender because I was doing pretty well. And I saw some of my other friends, and they were making like $200,000 a month. And I'm like 22 years old, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to make 200,000. I'm like 20 grand a month is okay, but 200,000 a month is way better. So I became a wholesale lender, and I did that for about 3 months, and then the market tanked, and it just got like, just bad timing. Like I had turned over my book of business and done all of that. But I put a post out on MySpace, and I was like, I have a marketing background. and I do all this stuff, and I'm just trying to find a new job. Like I want to do something new, and that's how I got my job at the title company that I worked at back then, and that's led me down the path of where I am today.
So instead of a LinkedIn and a resume, you just put a post out on MySpace.
Yeah, and it's funny because pretty much every time I've transitioned into a new job, I'm trying to think, like, other than this last time, it was similar. Like I did a resume, but basically I've just used my network on either Facebook or, I mean, hell, at one time I even did it over Twitter at the time, X now, whatever it's called. I put a post on Twitter. I had worked at Inman News at the time, and I tweeted, like, I'm leaving Inman News. I'm looking for something new and exciting. And a guy in Portland reached out to me, and he owned a little brokerage, M Realty, kind of a high-tech brokerage. It was actually a company that built the first map-based search for real estate, based on the polygons, and they did all the GIS mapping of all the neighborhoods in Portland, and then they built out all these other markets. So they hired me as their marketing guy, and then I really got into the SEO and the websites and all the YouTube, and that was where I started when we met, when I said I worked there, and we hired a videographer and a content person to basically go around to every neighborhood in Portland and film, at the coffee shops and some of the streets, and 140 some neighborhoods. We spent like $100,000 on that year, and I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do, and then that's kind of just got me to where I am today. So it's been a fun path.
Yeah. So you get into title, and so all that investment with the video marketing, that was by the title company that you're working at?
That was M Realty was the name. It was M Realty, and the company was called HomeQuest. That was kind of the powered everything behind the scenes. So it was a WordPress based website IDX platform. And then the spin-off from that was, the owner was like, his wife was in real estate, so they created a little real estate team, and then I started help with the marketing there, and then we grew that brokerage from like 8 people to over 100 in the few years I was there. And a lot of it was from the internet market, like the leads that we were getting from doing the SEO and the video and all of that stuff. We were getting more leads than our team could handle, so we brought on 2 more buyers agents, and then it just kept going and going. We actually brought in a full-time videographer, photographer, and web developer and designer, and then every agent that joined us would get a custom branded website. So we would sit down with them, and this is kind of where my background in this comes from. Was we would sit down with the agents and basically say, what do you want to do? What are you all about? Who do you want to serve? And this is what I do with my clients now that I'm at the title company too, is I sit down and ask all these questions, like, who are you? What are you all about? Who do you want to serve? Because we're trying to figure out what their brand and what their persona is. And then we would go build out a whole package for them, custom website, custom designed everything. We pretty quickly realized that wasn't scalable when you started getting more and more. Everybody wanted it. But so then we started doing some templated stuff. And like I said, I learned a ton. I learned what not to do, mostly what not to do.
So all of those video marketing materials, those were just for a website? It wasn't for YouTube at that point?
YouTube, yeah. So
it was on YouTube?
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff for, not really for YouTube. So this was kind of before Google bought YouTube, by the way. So this would have been 2010-ish, roughly. And I forget when Google bought YouTube, but it was right before that. And so we were using YouTube kind of like what Vimeo was used for, most like we were using it just as a storage,
just a hosting platform.
Yeah, and so we'd throw the videos up in YouTube, and we didn't give a shit about the titles and the descriptions and all of that, because we were just embedding them on our websites, which is where all the SEO was being done. On a side note, and kind of a side project, I got into this SEO stuff, and I was like, man, I'm gonna break some here. So so I need something to test all of these theories on that isn't gonna destroy our real estate website, because we were getting at one point like 100 and some leads a day from Google, just organic leads. And I didn't want to screw that up. And so I was playing Angry Birds at the time, like most of America was, I think. And so I built this little Angry Birds website and started doing some videos, YouTube videos on how to beat the levels. And that was when I really learned, and I think it was about the time that Google bought YouTube, that people search within YouTube. So I've got the videos in YouTube doing their thing, and then I've got the website. I SEO'd shit out of the website, so at the time, at one point, if you Googled Angry Birds, my website was above the actual developer. I ended up selling that website for like $30,000, and then the guy that bought it got a little nasty gram from
cease and desist.
Yeah, basically they're like, you can't do this anymore. So he was pissed because he just spent $30,000 and then got told he couldn't use their. All he had to do was take off the banner and change some stuff, but he let it go down the drain after that a little bit. But I learned a lot from that, and then I was able to take that knowledge and go. And I'm like, all right, I know. Well, first, then somebody said, well, you just got lucky. Like Angry Birds is kind of a big thing. You got lucky. You couldn't do that again.
What were the main things that you learned from that experiment?
The titles, like, it was like Angry Birds, how to beat level 2-1. I started doing a lot more titles and descriptions, and then you can see the analytics behind the scenes, of course. And I'm like, people are actually searching for these things within YouTube, not just out on Google. So I was able to get both.
So you could see where views were coming from YouTube search versus external other sources.
And at the time, Google Analytics showed you the search terms. So like for our websites, we could see what people were searching out in Google, and then I could see what they were searching within YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was basically identical. And the cool thing was, then I started running ads, and I actually started using this other guy. This other guy started producing videos that were way better than mine. I was just, recording screenshots off of my iPhone.
Yeah, I was going to ask kind of what that looked like.
Yeah, I mean, it was super janky. And this other.
Did you do voiceover, or was it just, here's how you beat the level?
Yeah. Well, because at the time I was just using it to do the host, and then I would put on my website the embed, and then I would type out like all the stuff that I would normally have said in the video.
Oh, okay.
But this other kid started making way better videos, and so I sent him a message and was like, "Hey, I want to start using your videos." And I'm getting 1 million+ views a month on this stupid Angry Birds website.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, "Hey, you've got turn ads on your videos. You'll make money from me. I'll make money from you, like win-win." And so we kind of formed a little partnership there and did that for about 6 months. And I was making like $3,000 to $4,000 a month just from the little stupid ads that were on the website. So I learned a lot about that process. And
you're talking Google AdSense revenue?
Google AdSense, yeah.
Jeez.
And the big thing I learned there, I've got all these keywords, and you can see like within the AdSense platform, you can see what type of content is being served. And I'm on my website, and some friends brought it up. They were like, I go on your website and I've got all of these weird ads for like bird cages and bird seed and bird food. And so I was able to go in there and turn categories off and just leave it for like technology and marketing stuff. And then, the day I did that, it went from like 75 cents a day to like 100 and something a day. And so I'd wake up every morning, and I had an app on my phone that showed me how much money I was making. And so I'd wake up in the morning and I'm like, I've already made $75 like before I get out of bed. At one point, I'm making $300-400 a day. And then Google does their big first, I think it was the penguin update, panda or penguin, I don't know, they name all these stupid animals. And so I woke up that next day and I look and I'm like, oh, I've made 20 cents. Like, that's weird. And then like later in the day I look and I'm like, man, I've only made $1. Like, what's happening? And they had been saying for a long time that they were going to slap some of the SEO practices that I was doing. And like I said, I learned a lot about what not to do.
They're like, we're paying this guy way too much.
Yeah. Well, I always joked, and I was like, so the way the AdSense works is like Google gets $1 from an advertiser. They might pay me 80 cents and they keep 20. So like they don't ever want to ruin that because they're making money off of what I'm doing too. And but at some point, it got to the point where there were like all of these shitty websites that are out, and mine wasn't, but some of the stuff that I had done, like with building backlinks and some of the shadier side of SEO. So, and that's where I learned what not to do to our real estate sites.
Yeah. So you built Angry Birds websites.
I just built one.
And when you say website, that's its own landing page. It's not talking about the YouTube channel itself.
Right. So yeah, the channel thing at the time wasn't really. I won't say it didn't exist, but it wasn't anything like it was today. So your channel was just a bunch of random ass videos, and there was no organization. I don't think you could even put a custom.
You couldn't customize any of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just a host for all of these stupid little videos that we were making. So for our neighborhood stuff, we were going out in the neighborhoods and, like I said, talking to the coffee shop owners, and we had a little Prius that we mounted all these cameras to, GoPros, and we'd like drive through the neighborhood and talk about, this is Alameda Street, and you know, these are all the businesses and these are the types of homes in this neighborhood. And we were driving up and down the streets and just doing that kind of stuff. But we were throwing all that in YouTube. And I mean, we were just calling them like Alameda Video 1. And so, because we didn't know at the time that that was going to be a big deal. So, and like I mentioned in my YouTube class, like I lost access to all of that when I left the brokerage. The brokerage eventually shut down. So they shut everything down and all those videos disappeared. And like, God, that could have been a $500,000 business for somebody. If we could have kept all those videos, I would have been pretty happy with that. But
yeah, so back in the day, the big thing was SEO, as you mentioned, and everyone wants their website to be built out with the SEO so that it ranks high in Google and all that. So like the Angry Birds example is that you had certain keywords and you built out descriptions on the website, and all of that built into the search engine optimization so that people can find it. And then you're saying that your YouTube videos were just hosted on that website. So you were getting the views because people were finding your website and then watching the YouTube video on the website.
Yep. And then eventually this transition happened where people were inside of YouTube also searching. Like once they watched one video, you're in there, and then it started serving.
Did they have the suggested videos back then and featured and all that? So they know kind of the content that you're watching, and we'll put that in front of you.
Yep. That was about the time, like I said, when Google bought them, like the algorithm became a thing. Before that, it was like, you know, you'd watch a video. There was no suggested. There was no what's next or anything like that. But once Google bought them and started doing some of that algorithmic stuff, you'd watch one and it would give you the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And so that was where we started making a ton of money because they're serving ads on every one of those. And I don't know how much money I made that other guy, but I know how much I made myself. But so then somebody was like, oh, you got lucky. You know, you probably couldn't do that again. And I went and did it again for Minecraft, the game when Minecraft came out. And I've never played Minecraft. Angry Birds, I played a ton of it. But Minecraft, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I've never played it, but apparently it's a big deal. Kids love it, whatever. So I built a Minecraft website, did the same thing. The videos were less structured. It was basically just like Minecraft related news. And then I'd go find a cool video that somebody had made, you know, something in the world. And I'd put that on the website and talk about it. But I sold that one like probably 4 months later for like $27,000 from the AdSense revenue. You know, it's like anytime I do that with the AdSense stuff, when I go to sell it, I'm like, I want a 10x multiplier. So I think I was making like $2,700 a month for like 3 or 4 months and sold it for 10x. So got 27,000. And then I was like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing now. And I tried it on our real estate websites, and all of a sudden it started working really well. And like I said, we had built out all of these sites for all of our agents. And so we got a group of agents that wanted to create content and wanted to blog and do all of that. So I started doing some of this SEO work with them. And I think we had probably 6 or 7 agents in our office out of the group of like 50 at the time that were really into it and started doing this with me. And we got to a point where if you Googled any address, any MLS number, or anything related to Portland real estate, like any of the big keywords, Portland real estate, Portland homes for sale in Portland, that kind of stuff, we just dominated to the point where like some agents were calling us and they were like, we're going to turn you in. We're going to call Google and turn you in. You guys are cheating. And I'm like,
that's not fair.
Yeah. Call Sergey and let him know. I'm like, what are you going to do? I don't, we're just doing, it was a great recruiting tool though. So, you know, those agents would get mad. We were doing classes and I was teaching people how to do this. Same shit I'm doing with the YouTube stuff now. I'm like, I'll give you the damn book. Be easier if you joined our brokerage, because then I'll just do it with you and teach you all the insider tricks and all of that. And so it's kind of what I do with the title company. I'm like, I'll give you the book, and it's, you know, if you're one of our clients, I'm happy to sit down and talk and, you know, help you however I can. But otherwise, you just come to my class and go try to do it on your own, which is fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was fun. That was a blast. I loved doing all that stuff for about a 4 or 5 year window. I learned a lot, made a lot of connections in the marketing and SEO world.
So back then, when you had the success with that Portland YouTube channel, how much of it was about having the right words in the description of the video versus now to where Google creates a transcript of every word that's said in a video, so that becomes your SEO, from how I understand it, versus, so, you know, what changes have you seen from there?
So fast forward, probably like 10 years. I was at another title company that rhymes with ABC, kind of ABC title company. And I was doing all the technology stuff behind the scenes, kind of. But we had a rep that was with us for a while, and then he left, went and became a realtor, and he started doing the YouTube channel thing. And he was out, he was recording 3, 4, 5, 6 videos a week. So he was doing the work, but he was just, he wasn't doing it wrong, but he was doing it the best way he knew how. He was going out and interviewing business owners and doing neighborhood walkthroughs. So I sat down with him one day and I was like, hey man, way more important now than it was back in the day. But now if you go in and you make your title and the description, and this was even before they were doing the transcript stuff, but you're right, now they do all of that automatically kind of behind the scenes. But I was like, hey, if you like, screw going out and talking to Joe Blow that owns a coffee shop, like, not that you're never going to get business from that. That's good ancillary content. But if you go create content around these specific keywords, which are the keywords that people are searching for, which are the ones that lead to closings, if you just went and did those videos and did this little recipe, if you want to call it that, in YouTube itself, title, description, the bunch of the voodoo magic that goes on, I'm like, I bet you'd have way better success. Because he's like, I've been doing this for like 3 or 4 months, and like, we're getting likes and comments, and the people are sharing it. The coffee shop shared it with their people, and I was like, yeah, but watch your video. I'm like, first of all, you're not even saying you're a real estate agent. You're just expecting people to know that. Mm-hmm. In his channel, he had built out the channel, so he's got his contact info and all of that. But the minute he started doing the titles and the descriptions and started being a little more strategic and intentional about all of that stuff, within a month, he starts getting real estate leads. And these are people that are like, hey, I'm moving to Portland next week. I'd like to talk to you. Here's my phone number. Can you call me?
The best kind of lead you can have.
Yeah. And like I say in the class, like it's the difference between the intent behind it. So they're actually searching for the content. They have a question they need to get answered. If your video answers that question and provides value, then they'll usually watch another video or two, and then they're like, oh, this guy's awesome. Or they'll watch like 30 seconds and be like, this guy's an idiot. I don't want to deal with him anymore. And they'll go find somebody else. But for the most part, they're like, oh, this guy's awesome. He's giving me the value I need and answered my question. Like, yeah, I want to work with him.
So how much of it do you think it matters, the quality of a video? I know that the best thing is consistency. Mm-hmm. If you can up the quality, then you should. But for example, like when you're creating a video, do you need the hook? Do you need the introduction after that? And then the body and the entertainment, or is it just like walking around uncut,
I think it's different for everybody. I mean, I'm the marketing guy, and I'm leaving a part of my story out too. Like during COVID, I was like, I'm going to go see how many houses I can sell during this next year, just using YouTube and Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook ads and Facebook stuff. And so, it's like, I'm just going to go see, and mostly the Facebook stuff, but I did 27 transactions in that like 16-month window. A lot of it from Facebook, but I did like 8 YouTube videos. I didn't do any editing. I want to take it back. I did one video about the Pearl District where I had like some B-roll footage of like the streetcar went by, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I took a video and like I spliced that in. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, it was just me in front of my laptop or me in the neighborhood walking around with my phone. And I'm a big copywriter guy, so I like the idea of the hooks. I know how important that is for YouTube. The first 30 seconds, you got to hook them, get them to watch, and then the algorithm does its thing. But for some people that just aren't into that and don't geek out about it as much as I do, I tell them don't worry about it and just be yourself. Because the beauty of video is that when people are watching you, that's what they're connecting with you.
They can tell if you're being genuine or not.
Yeah, and it gets awkward, and I'm like, I hate video. Like this stuff we're doing today is borderline uncomfortable, but I'm just ignoring all the cameras. It's fine.
They're not there.
Yeah. But when you're in front of your laptop and I know the market stats, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. It's the same thing for everybody. Like we all have these little, idiosyncrasies or whatever, anxiety about it. So I tell people just try not to worry about it and like just go do it, because that's the hardest fucking thing. Just go do it, and then you can get better as you go. So if you look back at my first few videos, they're just garbage. I mean, if you look back at my last video, it's garbage too, but it was a little better garbage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they work. And I told you the story the day I was laying in bed one morning on a Saturday morning. It was like 7:55, and I get a text message. And it's this guy, and he's like, hey, I have an agent already. We've been looking at houses. This was heyday. So he's like, we've made like 20 offers and our agent sucks. My wife and I found a house that we really like. He's like, I stumbled upon one of your videos. Happened to be an ad that I was running. It was a little short market update. I started running some as targeted ads for my neighborhood. So he saw that, and then he went and watched one of my other videos, then went and found me on Instagram, just determined that he wanted me as their agent. So he sent me a text and, was telling me all this stuff. And he's like, can you come and show us this house today? And at first I thought somebody was just messing with me. And so I responded kind of snarky, as you would, like,
trying to filter him out.
Well, I just woke up and I'm like, somebody's messing with me. We get a lot as an agent, and I'm sure as a mortgage broker, you get a lot of like the spam calls and people trying to sell you shit. And a lot of times when they're talking and stuff like that, they're like, oh, yeah, it's an SEO guy. It's always like the SEO guys. They want to sell us the Google My Business upgrades or whatever. So anyway, I respond and going back and forth with him a little bit. And then I was like, shit, I think this guy, I think he's like a legit, it was an out of area code phone number too. So like moving into the area. But so I ended up calling him. It was like 8:10 at that point. I call him and his name was Neil. And he's like, yeah, my wife, Mariah, and I, he's like, literally, we have the house picked out. We just need to get inside, look at it, make sure it's all what we think it is. And then, if we want to write an offer, like I said, our other agent sucks. So I'm like, all right. Went and showed it to him, wrote up an offer that night, got it accepted the next day. And we were off and running. And that was the day that it clicked with me. I was like, I've only made like 3 YouTube videos.
At that point, it was only 3 videos?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the channel that I show in the
How long were those videos up at that point?
That was like a month in, which typically doesn't happen. But it was because I was the first one that he saw was the ad that I was running. So it was very targeted to my zip code, the Northeast Portland area where he was looking. I had done all the stuff to make that be seen. But then he went and saw whatever other video that he saw and determined like this guy knows what he's talking about. And then he went to my Instagram. He like Googled me and found my Instagram, and he was like, hey, you have a Range Rover and a Ducati. And he's like, so I have a Range Rover and a Ducati too.
We're the same person.
Like, we're going to be best friends now, and you're going to sell the house for me and help me buy a house. And so that's what happens. It usually takes, 6 months or so for that to kind of kick in. But it can happen if you do it properly and you just do specific videos. And then you do all the ancillary content around that. And if, you can put that stuff in the same channel or not. Kind of depends on how much work you want to do. And, I can go pretty deep into my thoughts behind the algorithm and all that stuff, but really it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you do the right videos, and then the other content that you create around it for social media or whatever, that's all just ancillary and kind of just shows your personality a lot better. But the people are searching for very specific phrases, and if you just create that content and answer those questions, like you can make a lot of money by recording 20, 30 videos, and they're all kind of evergreen, so you don't have to update them all the time. So it's like, I kind of wish I would have done the YouTube stuff first, because that was about 8 months into what I wanted to be about a 12-month journey. If I would have done it earlier, I probably would have gotten a lot more business from it. But I ended up closing like 3 deals from YouTube in the like final 4 months of my little foray into the real estate, into actual selling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to get into running ads on YouTube and then also on the videos that you would make if you were to start a YouTube channel today. Mm-hmm. But I just want to touch on, you talking about talking in front of the camera. The number one fear that people list most oftentimes is public speaking. That's their biggest fear. So when you're able to turn off that switch of like caring what people think, positive or negative, then you'll just do what you know you need to do. And I mean, you'll become limitless at that point, and it's just a matter of putting out content. You're never going to be perfect. No one completely likes what they look like or sound like and all that stuff. You just have to put it out there and be genuine, and people will see that and see the value. Yeah. And then you'll see the results.
Yep. It's funny. One of my friends, I just remember this. I was telling her, I'm like, I'm recording these videos, and I'm like, it's weird. I can go talk in front of a room full of 1,000 people. I still have anxiety, and I do my little pre-talk routine or whatever, but it's way harder to talk to a camera because you don't get the feedback. Mm-hmm. So like you've seen my class where I'm like, I tell a joke, I get a little laugh, and I'm like, all right, the audience is alive, and then I'm trying to figure out, how far I want to push boundaries of how many times I want to cuss or whatever. But when you're doing that with a computer and a camera, you can't. You don't get that feedback. And so my friend sent me. It was the Betty White, like her face cut out, and then The Rock. And so I could tape them up behind my cameras, and I could have a little audience that I'm talking to. So, and it actually, I hate to say it, because she saw what I had done. I had done Post-it notes, and I had drawn little faces on Post-it notes. So
stick figures.
Psychologically, I was like, I'm talking to an audience.
Huh.
Well, she took it the next step further and gave me the Betty White and the Rock, so I could paste those up there. And then it oddly enough made a world of difference, because it felt like I was actually talking to somebody. I could look The Rock in the eyes. It's so weird. Whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get into running ads. Specifically, realtors spend a ton of money buying leads from Zillow and from other sources. They spend a ton of money promoting stuff on Facebook and other sources. In the small amount of dollars that I've put into YouTube marketing, I've got an insane amount of impressions for a low dollar amount.
Yep.
And especially, you could pick like what you want the outcome to be, whether it's gaining subscribers, you know, getting people to submit their information, all these different things. How would you recommend people promote videos on YouTube, and, you know, the strategy behind that?
Well, it depends. It's a hard question to answer with a very direct answer, but the way I did it, I was targeting my little neighborhood. And as you know, like on Facebook, you used to be able to do that, but now you have a 15-mile radius. So I was still doing that within Facebook. You have to be very strategic about the verbiage you use and the image you use. And then the algorithm does the rest. On YouTube specifically, you can still go in and put the zip code in, and there's a lot more demographic choices. You can choose, like, I forget what they all are now, but I know one of them's like potential movers, or, you know, they just had a baby, or, you know, stuff like that. That we can still go in and choose some of those. And you're right. I mean, for the price per impression is just stupid cheap compared to everything else.
Got like 75,000 impressions for $75.
Yeah. I mean, for that little, what I was doing, I was doing a postcard campaign to my neighborhood. I was doing the Facebook ad and then the YouTube ad. And the YouTube ad, I think I was spending like $5 a day. And the Facebook stuff was $10 a day. The postcards, you know, I did every other month. Same thing though. I tried to do, it was called Jeff's Market Minute. I also found out that it's hard to cram a lot of valuable content into a 60-second thing. So these little videos ended up being 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but it was just me giving an update on what was going on in the market. And like I said, at the time, this was 2021 going into 2022. So the market was kind of crazy. So I was just giving an update, like, here's the inventory, all the stuff we still do today. Here's the months of inventory, and, you know, kind of like what was going on in my world. That, you know, I have a client, we wrote 20 offers last week. It's tough, but we got it done. And, you know, little stories here and there. So trying to do stuff like that and just running those as an ad. The beauty of it is, in the end of that video, you can link to another video. You know, it gets them in my ecosystem, and then they watch my other videos. They find me on Instagram and fall in love with my Ducati or whatever.
So would you create a standalone short, which would be unlisted on YouTube, that you would then run as an ad just so that people can see you, and then it would be redirected kind of to your other videos? Or would you have a video that is live on your page?
I made them live. I mean, it was an update that I wanted to put out to the world. You can do it either way. There's no right or wrong to any of this, really. But the way I did it was I was doing an update every month, the market update video, and I was putting that out on my channel. And a few times I recorded them with my principal broker, because David Caldwell down in Portland, he's a stats freak. So, you know, he and I would sit there on Zoom and talk about what was going on, and then I would make that into an ad, but I would have it as a live searchable video on my channel.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so when you pay to promote a video, it's showing the first 5 seconds of your video, correct? And then, you know, the skip button comes up, and they can decide if they want to watch the full video or not. Yep. So that's what it looks like to promote a video on YouTube.
Yep. And it's what I always tell people too. I'm like, hey, think about how we, you know, if I'm laying in bed and I'm just scrolling through, you know, pickleball videos or baseball videos or whatever it is, like, that's different, right? There's no intent. I'm just kind of wasting time. I'm doing my thing. That can still work, because in the off chance that person's like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, I'm thinking about moving or whatever, you catch them at the right time, like, you can do that. But the the more important thing is the intent when they're searching for stuff, and the algorithm picks that up and then serves them an ad. This guy they were moving from, I forget where they were moving from, but they had searched and they had gotten into that, the cookies and all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes with the algorithm, and the algorithm was giving them exactly what they were looking for. And that's the beauty of it now, is I don't have to think, I don't have to do a lot of that heavy lifting. The algorithms do all of that. So if you just get the basics down of the title, the description, and all of that stuff, the rest of it's kind of just up to YouTube.
And so you've already said that 30-second retention is a very important thing, as we know. And then beyond that, it's average view duration. But so like, let's say you want to run an ad on a video, or you just want to put a video out there that will have the best metrics. It makes sense to have something that's heavy hitting information right off the bat. No introductions, no, hey, everybody, welcome back. No, it's like, this is what you need to know.
Yep.
And this is why you should keep watching this video. And it's about delivering on the thumbnail and the title right off the bat.
Yep.
Otherwise, people realize that it's not what they were expecting when they clicked. You'll see the retention chart drop off a cliff.
It'll nosedive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes back into the marketing stuff. Like if you want to geek out, I have like the best hooks you can use to.
Let's go through some of those.
I'm trying to think of, like, just off the top of my head, if I was doing the one on the Pearl District, and I mentioned this in the class, like I hate doing the like fear-based selling, but that works so well. But you could say
You have to draw an emotion. Same thing with a thumbnail. If you have a human on there that has some sort of emotion, whether it's positive or
angry
negative,
face or smiley face or whatever. Yeah, there's a whole, the psychology behind all of this is what I geek out on, honestly. But like, so top 5 reasons why you want to live in the Pearl District could be my title. The intro, my hook would be, hey, thanks for checking out the video. I'm going to go over the top 5 things that make it awesome to live in the Pearl District. You're not going to want to miss number 5.
Yeah. Stay the entire video.
You won't believe what happens next. It's all that like clickbaity, but it works so well. And the only reason like I get jaded about it is because I'm a hardcore marketing guy, and I know what's going on.
Right.
And I still hate it because my mind still falls for it, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So when I read that, it used to be like BuzzFeed. We'd see all these stupid things on Facebook or wherever, and I learned a lot from those because I'm like, why? The psychology of why I want to click on that. Why I have no interest in that shit. Why is my brain telling me I need to click on that? And that's why, is they get these hooks, they get these clickbait headlines, and it's almost like you have to.
It's a human instinct.
Yeah, and so if you can take that and learn from it and then turn it into something that applies to your video in the real estate world, the mortgage world, or whatever, it's like magic. And so there's definitely an art form to it. It works without it. If the intent is there, the person is searching for something, and you're providing what they're searching for, they don't know that sometimes for the first minute or two. So then it's up to chance. Then the person's looking at it and going like, oh, is this person attractive or not? There's a lot more to it. But in the off chance that they watch deep enough into the video, we're like, oh, great, this is the info I was looking for. But if you follow the blueprint that we talk about, giving them that hook and telling them exactly what you're going to tell them, and then leaving that hook in, so you're like, you can't go anywhere now. You got to watch. Some of my videos were 22 minutes long,
right?
And people watch the whole damn thing because it's the information that they're looking for.
For sure.
And I happen to know what I'm talking about, and you can't really fake some of that stuff. I mean, you can't, because that's the beauty of live video or just video in general, is people can tell if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you mentioned, if they don't like how you look or something like that, they're able to get to know, like, and trust you without having to have the actual face-to-face time.
Yep.
So when it actually does come time to sell, they're reaching out when they're looking to move next week, instead of, you having to try to sell them and convince you and do all these different things. It's like they're already sold.
Yeah, the speed to conversion is way less, or way faster, I guess you would say. The time to conversion is way less when you're dealing with these kind of leads. And so, somebody comes from that environment of intent. They've done their research. They've already made up their mind that they want to work with you. They just need to reach out. They reach out. You do a decent job at following up or getting back in touch with them. Like, you don't have to do much else. It's just already done, and they're ready to go. So it's the best. YouTube to me right now is hands down the best place to be doing any sort of marketing, free or paid. And Facebook, like Facebook's a whole different ball game, but YouTube is where I would spend all my time and all my money right now, probably.
The top 2 search engines in the world are Google and YouTube, and Google owns YouTube. They're completely interconnected. Yep. It's wild when you start to put out content and you see how many views are coming from Google search. Mm-hmm. And then when you type in a certain topic on a video that you created, when you're scrolling down on a Google search, you'll see different, articles, and then you'll see video thumbnails. Mm-hmm. So your YouTube video has an advantage over every other article that's out there on the internet because it's showing a thumbnail like, hey, this is what you can see. And you have the potential of being found on Google that way. It's just,
and it's interesting. So like back in the old school SEO days, we would dominate the top 10. Like people would say, if you're not in the top 5, it's hit and miss. Like you go to the top 1, 2, 3, but even if they put your YouTube thumbnail, and they're always moving shit around and they're always A/B testing things, but even if they put the thumbnails down halfway in the page, your eyes automatically go directly to those because it's something on the page that's not just text. And then if you have a decent thumbnail, and there's all the psychology around that, like we said with the smiley face and the angry face and the emotions and all that. If you do a good job with your thumbnails, you just immediately go from like the number 1 down to the thumbnail, and then there's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or however many. And if they all look the same, then it's going to go to the title of the video, the attractiveness of the person. There's a lot of variables there. But like what I'm telling people now, like now everybody's doing the same type of thumbnails. It's a picture of the house with me in front of it with a white outline and bright colors. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing that now. Mm-hmm. And so in my class, I was like, if I was going to do this today, I might start doing black and white thumbnails with maybe one color, something that looks different than all the others, just because it's a cyclical thing. Like everybody's doing the same thing. I want to go do something different now because that different thing is what's going to stand out.
I'm sure you know who Mr. Beast is.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was, if you can be 10 to 20% either better or different than the content that is being put out in the same space, it could lead to 10 to 20x results.
Yeah.
You don't have to be way better than everyone else. If you just tweak a few different things to be different, that could lead to the results that you're looking for.
Yep. And I love A/B testing things, and that's one of the things with the TubeBuddy. So weird to say that.
vidIQ is another one.
Yeah, so they let you do the A/B testing of thumbnails and stuff like that. Like I geek out on that kind of stuff, but I just know from experience and just a gut instinct right now that I bet you if I started doing black and white thumbnails, they'd perform better.
Might have to try that out.
Because I mean, if you go look, especially within the YouTube itself, if you're out in Google, still. But if you're in YouTube, man, look at all the thumbnails for everything, for all the videos. The ones that now stand out are the ones where either the people don't use the thumbnail or it's not like all of the other ones somehow. Yeah. And I tested that with my videos. I think I have like 12 videos total that I did. Some of them were shorts. Some of them were the longer form. Some of them I used the thumbnails. Some of them I didn't. You go look at the stats, you can clearly see the winners, and the winners were the ones at the time that had a thumbnail. They were longer, the value was there. I'd used a better title and description, a more robust description. I put chapters in the description before YouTube started doing it automatically. Just that kind of stuff. Like you can look at the stats and it's like 10x on everything.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get into like the first 10 videos that you would make if you're a realtor that's looking to start a YouTube channel right now. What are the 10 videos that will get the most bang for their buck, the impact?
I don't know if I can list 10 off the top of my head, but it would
be
like
like talking about those categories of, the 50 videos that if you could just make these 50 videos.
Yeah. So I'll just say like moving to Vancouver, relocating to Vancouver, living in Vancouver, the cost of living in Vancouver, the top 5 things to do in Vancouver, the top 5 things not to do, top 5 reasons to move, top 5 reasons I hate living here. I mean, you just go.
It's literally all just different variations of the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so the videos that I wouldn't do this, but reposting the same video with the different thumbnail and title 5 different times, I wouldn't do that. Like I said.
Yeah. So back in the day, you could. now the computer, the algorithm, it's smart enough to know that it's
because
the
it
same
transcribes
video.
every single word. So it's like, yeah, these are the same videos.
So what I used to do, this way back in the day, like I said, I would edit the video, basically chop it to make it a different length. And if you think about it in a timeline, like shift the timeline a little bit so that it wouldn't recognize that those videos were the same.
Yeah.
Now it's too smart and it knows, 80% of that video is the same. It's duplicate content. It's kind of how it thinks about it. And so it just doesn't serve both. And I don't know the ins and outs of what it does, but what I think it does is it starts playing both of them. And then it's like, this one is getting better. We're not going to show this one.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's doing its own A/B testing. And, but yeah, I mean, if you could, if you were heavy into editing, which I wasn't, you could break those chunks up and edit them together and make, 5 different videos out of one just by moving stuff around kind of.
Yeah, interesting.
And that would work, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean it's really all talking about the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean some of them are different. Top 5 reasons to, top 5 reasons not to. But then moving in, living to, relocating to. I mean it's just the keywords at that point.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And yeah, I mean I don't know. Like I would just record myself.
Yeah,
If you could go record, you could go crank those 5 videos out in an hour. They don't need to be super robust. Usually, it's just kind of bang, bang, bang. Tom Ferry gave us some really interesting stats because they do a lot of stuff with video with their clients. And the cool thing about the relationship we have with Tom Ferry is all of his coaching clients, like all the data behind that, and they do a shit ton of business. So this isn't like me, Jeff. I did 27 transactions in a year. These guys are like, yeah, I did like 600. My team did 600, and here's all of our stats. And so they share a lot of that stuff with us. And they talk a lot about doing the map. So like we'll show something on a map. If people are relocating and they're not from the area and they haven't been here, but they know they need to move here for a job or whatever, they want to see it on a map. So me down in the corner with using like a vidyard video or something, showing people where stuff is on a map and talking about it and talking about the neighborhoods and here's the homes, here's the style of homes in this area. People just eat that up. So you could do, top 4 things to do in this neighborhood and top style of homes in this neighborhood or whatever. Like there's a million videos you can do. The cool thing with AI now is you can basically just put in what you already have done and say, I need to do another 10 videos, give me some ideas. And it'll spit out hundreds of ideas.
For brainstorming, ChatGPT and those
awesome.
AIs are amazing.
Yep.
One of my buddies put in a Google Earth video and exactly what you mentioned. There's one called Loom, I think.
Loom, yeah.
To where, you can record yourself. You're in the bottom there and then screen recording. Google Earth is insane.
Yeah.
And so just walking through a city of, you're moving to Vancouver. Here's where Vancouver is. Vancouver, Washington, not BC. Showing on a map where it is. Zoom into these neighborhoods and showing, what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And people love it.
Yeah.
Oh, we could just talk about this stuff for days.
Yeah, I know. What else are you seeing that's trending right now that, people should be making content about or, just top tips on where things are at? And where is YouTube heading? Are there any new changes that have happened recently that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, it's kind of just business as usual in that sense.
One thing that I've seen and that I've heard is that YouTube is allowing small and new channels to be found more frequently. Like when you're scrolling on YouTube next, you might see channels that you haven't seen before. I would just click on them and see how many subscribers, because I've seen channels with less than 500 subscribers that are being recommended.
Yeah.
So
it's actually a good point. So I talk about that in my class and I'm like, I never really cared. I don't care about the number of subscribers. It's different. If like for your baseball channel, you do, because you've got content that's timely that you're putting out as it's happening. But for my real estate stuff and for our real estate stuff, like it's evergreen. It can live on forever. People aren't going to come and they're not like waiting for me to put out my video next week.
Right.
Like maybe they are, I don't know, but I don't know. I think I had like 14 or maybe 127 subscribers. I have a couple channels, but I think on my real estate one that I did, I only had like 14 subscribers and I started getting business from
You got deals from 14 subscribers.
It does play a part in the algorithm because YouTube wants to see subscribers and it knows that the more people that subscribe, they're finding value. But I think you're right. And it's been doing that for a while where they're like, that's not that big of a deal. If the value's there and the people watch it, it's more important to have the watch time, all of that stuff,
Right.
versus 20,000 subscribers. I see a lot of these the big guys that we talk about that I show the examples of in the class, like they have 30,000 subscribers, 20,000, whatever. You can get that when you're in Houston and you've had your channel up for 2 years or whatever.
Right.
But
it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know the stats here. Like, there's a few people here in town that do YouTube really well. I don't even go look to see how many subscribers they have, but I bet you it's not anywhere near that. I just don't think that matters because you're right. YouTube is going to show the valuable content, even if it's a brand new channel.
And because subscribers only matters because when you put out a video, it initially will notify and put that video in front of your subscribers.
Yep.
So they're looking for a certain amount of content or a certain type of content because they subscribe to your channel. And then depending on how those subscribers, act on your video, how long they watch it, how often they're clicking, then YouTube will decide to kind of widen that circle of, okay, these are people that are interested in the same type of videos that might enjoy it. So then that might pop up on their recommended feeds. But like you said, this content is very highly searchable and search-based. It's people that are relocating to the area that are actively searching for that content. So they might not be subscribed to you, but they're searching for it, and there still is that opportunity to be found that way. Yeah,
and the recommended stuff goes so far beyond just an algorithm, like all the cookies and all that the systems track. If I'm on Home Depot's website and then I'm over at like Babies R Us and then I go to Zillow, it's smart enough. It's going to be like, oh, that person is having a baby, doing home improvements, probably thinking about buying and selling a house.
Right.
And so it's going to show real estate content. Just that, and that's like a very, I don't want to say vague example, like a tight example is the best thing I can say. Like that doesn't always happen that way, but if that's the best way to think about it, is if I'm exploring new cars or shoes or whatever it may be, like the system's going to pick up on that and it's going to show me more of that content.
Right.
So if I'm in Home Depot and Babies R Us and then Zillow, it's going to be like, oh, real estate related all day long. And the second that you watch one video about a certain topic, it's like, okay, show them 20 of the same video. Right. And then you'll binge all of those videos. Yep. But in the same light, if they watch one of your videos, even if they're not subscribed, then there's the opportunity that, another one of your videos will be put in front of that person. Yeah. And if you do it right, when you're uploading your videos, you can have the end cards, so you can tee up your, like, I don't want. That's a good way to end the video. Yeah, like I don't want them to watch my video and then have 4 other of my competitors pop up and they're off watching their stuff. Like if you plan it out, and this is kind of where the strategy of YouTube comes in. Like we sit down and talk about, here's the first video you're going to record, but also here's the next video you're going to record. Because in that first video, you can mention the next one. And then when you do it right, you can kind of piggyback them off of each other and you can show the cards and just feed into and build a big, huge spider web of content. And to learn more about Ridgefield, Washington, click on this video right here. Yeah. Yeah. And that's how you keep them in your little ecosystem within YouTube. People always ask, like, do I want to send them to my website? Do I want to send them to my funnel? And from my experience, myself, and then helping a bunch of other people do this, that never really worked. Like we would get some, but the people that are watching the YouTube content YouTube itself wants to keep them within the ecosystem. Right. And then the people that are there, they just seem like they don't want to go fill out a form. They are happy watching the videos, and then if your contact info's there, they'll send you a text or an email or call. They don't want to go fill out a form or go to your website and have to go through all that shit. So it's just having your number and your email in the description of the video. In every video. Yep. Yeah. And in the video, say it in the video, have it flash up on the screen if you want, but more importantly, have it in the description. Yeah. Another kind of tangent or thought off of what types of videos to make. This is something that I've been starting to do, is just answering frequently asked questions that clients have. So one of the first videos that I did on my mortgage and real estate channel is the home buying process from start to finish. So it's a 23-minute video, and I created a, PowerPoint, bullet points, different steps and all that, and my face is there, and I'm just walking through the home buying process from start to finish. So anytime that I have a potential lead or client, I could have that initial conversation with them over the phone, and then I send them the video. They get to know, like, and trust me watching that. They'll see my other content.
they're taking value from it. And so that's another kind of playlist that you could add.
Yeah, and there's a website called Answer the Public. Have you ever?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually really cool. You go in and put first time home buyer or whatever term is, and it gives you this like explosion of related topics. So, you know, whatever term you put in there, it gives you like another 50 that are related. It's changed over the years, but I used to use that back in the day for SEO stuff. Like anytime I wanted to write something, I'd go put in what I wanted, because it gives you all of the other terms that I would use in my copy, so that people were because it's stuff people are searching for, and it's questions. It's almost like an FAQ type thing, and it just gives you all of the stuff that everybody's searching for.
Answerthepublic.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'll have to try that out.
Yeah.
And then, so you could type in how to buy a home, and then it'll spit out 50 other topics.
Yep.
And those are all videos right there that you could be making.
Yep, exactly.
And then do you have experience with, you know, taking the long form content, chopping it up into shorts, posting it across platforms?
Yes. It's way easier now with all the AI tools like the Opus clips and stuff like that. I don't want to take my long form content and post that into social media. If I'm, I say that, like I've seen you like your Costco video the other day. I saw that on Facebook, and I'm like, all right, that's different. You're not going after the search terms on stuff like that. But if I'm going after like the content that I created on video, where it's a very search specific term with the intent and all that behind it, I don't want to share that on social media, because the algorithm picks up where people came from, how they got there, how they found it, and all of that stuff, and it serves it to more people like that. So if the example I use is if I post something on social media, I know my mom's going to go check it out. She's going to go like it, you know, whatever. Well, then it's going to start showing that content to more people like my mom, and she's not necessarily buying or selling a home. So it kind of screws up the algorithm there. But you can take that long form, chop it up into little short bits, and you can share all of those little things out on social. Your call to action would then be like, hey, if you want more information, go find me on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you need to force them to go Google, because then it weeds out the people like my mom that are just like, oh, I just want to see what Jeff's up to. Sorry, Mom. But on the other side, the people that are actually serious, that are like, I do want a loan. I do want to search for a house, whatever. The intent is there. They'll go put that extra step in. They'll go find you on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can literally tell them, just go search for my name on YouTube and you'll find my videos. Or go search for this specific topic on YouTube. You'll find my videos. Mm-hmm. So nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing it the other way too. It just depends on your strategy. Like my strategy at the time was I only wanted to do videos that had the search intent behind it. I didn't want to do all the other shit because I don't like doing videos. So I didn't want to go make a bunch of fun stuff. I just wanted these very specific videos that I knew that content is going to bring in the business. Yeah. And it's a lot of like the guys that I work with when we're doing these types of channels. They're like, I don't want to make videos all the time. If I could go do like the 40 that you tell me to do and just never do it again, I'd be happy. And I'm like, well, that's all you have to do. You don't have to go share it on social. Like the algorithm does the heavy lifting behind the scenes. If you want different types of traffic, or if you're trying to hit your sphere on social media, on Facebook or wherever, create a little short version. So YouTube did change this in the last like year or so. Every video is now independent. It used to be, if I had a video that sucked, and if I had a video that I shared on Facebook, like the algorithm kind of took all my videos and lumped them together as a channel as a whole. But now it's saying every video is independent of itself. So theoretically, I could go make a video and post it on Facebook, and that wouldn't screw up the rest of my videos. That one video might be off. Instead
of your channel sucking, just that one video sucks.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because before, it was like, I would always tell people, hey, you're going to screw it all up. If you post a video on Facebook, the algorithm's going to get all out of whack, and it's not going to know who to show it to. It will, but it won't be as refined as it should be, I guess you would say.
Because ultimately, like, my strategy is that I want to be in front of everybody all the time, and that's my personal sphere, which is my Facebook, LinkedIn, all those places where people are already following me. But then I also want to give the opportunity of people finding me. That's where it's hosted on YouTube with the searchability and all of that. Right. So, and then I just chop everything up into shorts, so that little bits of content, and then if they do want to watch the whole thing, then they'll go find it. So.
And before I would tell people, hey, chop it up and then upload that raw video into Facebook. Don't put, and this is actually, I would still say this today. You putting a YouTube link into Facebook doesn't want to send people to YouTube. Facebook wants people to stay there, click on their ads.
They want to keep people so that they can, charge more for ads.
Yeah, and YouTube's the same way. They don't want people to go to your website. They want to keep people in their own ecosystem. So you would notice if you uploaded a raw video into Facebook just without a link to YouTube, you'll get way more interaction on that because Facebook is showing it to more people. Facebook senses a link, and we used to get around this by saying like link in the first comment. Well, they got smart on that too now. So, I can post a thumbnail and then say, go check out my video. Link to it is in the first comment. They figured that out, but that's the better way to do it. You'll still get a little more interaction, but they don't want to send people somewhere else. And so you get way lower interaction on those. So if I was going to do it, like I said, it takes a little more time, but you want to take that raw video and upload it into Facebook or the little snippet or whatever and upload that directly in because then it's staying within the ecosystem. Facebook's going to show it to more people.
Just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to upload that same Costco video, the full video to Facebook and also to LinkedIn and see what happens. Just see how the engagement is. Yeah,
you'll have to keep me posted because I'd bet you lunch that you'll get more. Maybe see, it's hard now. This is the hard part. Is like now people have seen it. Maybe they've gone and watched it. Maybe not. So there's no really good way to do an A/B test. But Facebook has straight up said over the years like engagement is going to be less if you're trying to send somebody somewhere else.
And then I'm also having a hard time figuring out, do I post it as a Facebook reel or as a Facebook post?
Right.
Because, it really just depends on the post, on what gets the engagement. Sometimes a reel does better than a post, but sometimes it's like I see people making a post with this long paragraph that they're doing the stuff and then there's a ton of engagement. So
yep. Yeah, I'd say there's kind of no rhyme or reason to it. It kind of depends on the subject, the content. I mean, my audience, because I've been doing copywriting stuff over the years, like I get way more engagement when I write a big, huge, long post. I get a lot more private messages from that kind of stuff. If I just, I always laugh. I type something, I think it's funny, it's short, whatever, and I get crickets. And then I type this big, long, stupid, drawn out thing, and I'll get 100 comments on that.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I do it again the next week. It's the total opposite. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You just have to do everything and
see what happens.
Some hits and some don't.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, once you understand the power of YouTube, you will want to focus all of your efforts, your marketing efforts on creating content, high quality content for YouTube. And then, you can repurpose it if you want to other platforms, but YouTube is the moneymaker.
Yeah, right now. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And it's funny, I'm doing these classes here in Vancouver, and there's several people in town that are already doing it really well. And they're, Hannah Dubine was at the Tom Ferry thing, and I don't know if she said it, but somebody, I think it was Jason, Tom Ferry's marketing guy, was like, she's getting, 10, 20 leads. He said a week. I don't know about that. A month, maybe. I'd say a month. That would be safer, but maybe a week. I don't know. Cause she does it consistently and whatever, but, there's a lot of room out there. Cause some people are like, well, Hannah's already doing really well. I'm so far behind. If I start now, I'm not going to get much. And I'm like, man, it's still a big ass ocean out there.
You have to have it. You have to have an abundance mindset. There's enough business for everybody to where they will always be busy, and everyone can make the money and close the deals.
Yeah, and it goes back.
Everybody.
The personality thing is a big deal too. Like
right.
I know somebody's going to watch my video and be like, this guy's a freaking idiot, and somebody's going to watch Hannah's video and be like, oh, she's the greatest thing on earth. Other way around too. So I like there's plenty of business. There's always going to be somebody that is turned off by how you look or how you sound or whatever. And you know what? I always say I wouldn't have wanted to work with that person anyways.
Right.
So it works itself out before it became a problem.
Yeah. And when I talked about 10 to 20% different or better, just the fact that you're making the exact same video that someone else made makes it different.
Yeah.
And that might just be what it takes. So start creating content, stay consistent, see where it goes. I mean, your business will blow up from it. It's just a matter of time.
Yep, I agree.
Any closing thoughts?
No, thanks for having me on. It's been awesome.
Thank you for coming on. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sounds good.